Alrighty, well let's get started. Good morning, everybody. My name, or I guess good afternoon if you're on the East Coast. My name is Ken Shaw. I'm the CEO of SOS, and today we're welcome to our ongoing series of webinars here. Today we're looking at what it takes to get into the online backup business, specifically as a partner of SOS. So we've got today we've got nearly 100 people on the line from or registered for the event. With both existing partners and prospective partners, people thinking about becoming an SOS partner, just as a matter of interest to make sure I can target the presentation to the right audience. Can everybody just type into the questions section if you're an existing partner or a prospective partner, just to give me a sense of where the audience falls today. There's in the GoToWebinar software, there's a little question function, which is actually a very powerful part of the system, and I'd really like to encourage everybody to use it as much as possible. If we can make these sessions interactive, then everybody gets, I think, a lot more out of them, you, us. So please don't be shy. We've got lots of people typing in now, which is terrific. Thanks, everybody. And please use that tool throughout the presentation and the Q&A to make certain we're targeting content. If you've got topics you want to that you want to hear about, so technical topics or about partnership program, pricing, marketing, type it in now, let me know, and I can make certain we target that in the conversation. So please do use that at any time, including right now, to let us know what you'd like to hear about. In terms of the overview, just some rough housekeeping. We're going to do a brief introduction to who SOS is, and then we'll look at the SOS product and then turn to the SOS partnership program. There'll be a Q&A at the end, but we usually do Q&A throughout. So there's a 30-minute presentation, which we're usually done by half past the hour, and then a dedicated Q&A section, but we will also try and do Q&A throughout the presentation as well. For the Kindle promotion, we'll have the details on how to get to go in the draw for the Kindle, and that'll be at the end of the webinar. So we're getting a bunch of topics coming in from people that people want to hear about, which is great. Thanks for that. The intended audience for today's webinar is existing partners and then prospective partners. And our prospective partners, or beg your pardon, existing partners as well, are generally IT shops, whether that's a managed service provider or a more typical VAR, ISPs, independent software vendors. So anyone in that space is really what the webinar is targeted at. All right, so let's dive in. So just a brief background on who SOS is. I think a lot of you would already be familiar with us. We're a company dedicated to online backup, been around for a decade now. Our claim to fame is generally that we lead the market from a technology standpoint. So we've pioneered a lot of the technologies that are now standard in the online backup industry, and we keep pushing the envelope with things like we've just released backup for mobile devices, so we can back up BlackBerries and iPhones, and first to do that, and usually the first with a lot of things. But as far as you're concerned, I think the number one thing you need to know about SOS is that we focus on being a platform for resellers. So our main business is running a platform as a service solution to enable IT resellers and businesses to get into selling a branded online backup solution rapidly. We've 4 locations around the world, 200 employees, and more than 3 million customers on our grid. So we're a very established company by any metric you want to pick. We've grown 300% in the last 2 years, and that's not a comment about us. It's a comment about the success of our partners, because we only grow if our channel grows. So we've been very successful at getting companies into the online backup business and getting you to very quickly and successfully drive recurring revenue from selling a branded online backup solution. On the screen here is just a rough overview of the major players in the online backup market. We squarely fit in that small business category in the center there. Our focus is both selling to small businesses ourselves, we do a little bit of that, but our main focus is selling through resellers to small businesses. If your customers are mainly home users, we've still got a solution that works for you. We've got a solution that's very home-oriented, and we've got an enterprise solution as well. So most of our partners have a core of small business customers and a few home customers and a few enterprise customers. And this slide here from our marketing team is really what we're all about. We take everything that SOS has got, whether it's technology, our infrastructure, our sales and marketing capabilities. We then run that through your business model, put your branding on it, slice and dice our offerings in different ways for you so that you can go to market with your own white-labeled online backup solutions. So just picking on some audience members, Michael Heffley Online Backup or Robert Larson or Mo Perez Online Backup to get you into the market, driving incremental revenue, which is very high margin, usually 50 or 60% margin to you on a recurring revenue base from selling backup as a managed service. And here on screen are just some examples of the white labeling that we do. So everything you see at SOS can be white labeled to you and your business, whether that's marketing collateral or the product itself, or even our salespeople will actually work as part of your sales org in your name. A few questions here. So we've got an MSP that's currently managing instances of Symantec Backup Exec, looking for a solution to provide online backup. Okay, we're going to be talking about that and how we compare to Symantec. Interested in pricing and why SOS is better than Spiderworks and Mozy, etc. We're going to cover that. Linux and Mac compatibility, we're going to cover that. How do we differentiate from services like Carbonite? Definitely going to cover that. Will the slides be available following the presentation? Yes. You'll get a link to a video and of the presentation today, and if you're actually after the slide deck itself, you can call in and get access to our Partner Resource Center, which is a web portal filled with marketing tools designed to help you go out and either sell backup to your customers or just to test the waters, so to speak. So you can get things like this sales presentation from the PRC and use that to start marketing your online backup solution among your existing customers to drive interest. So let's turn and look at the backup technology landscape for a moment, because understanding this is crucial to understanding the business opportunity in online backup. Generally, when we look at the backup world, we see very different patterns in the consumer, small business, and enterprise spaces. In the consumer world, there really isn't any embedded standard for backup. Where consumers are backing up, they're usually backing up with a homegrown solution, often to USB hard disk drives or flash memory keys. Nearly always there's no offsite backup. So the consumer market is very barren when it comes to embedded backup solutions. In the small business space, that's usually not the case. So with consumers, the sale is usually about getting them to start backing up regularly, whereas in the SMB space, the sale is more about replacing existing technology. And the number one technology is, of course, tape still. There's a bit of disk out there as well now, but tape is still by far the greatest technology in terms of penetration in the SMB space. And when we talk about these, we call them centrally architected backup solutions. So tape and disk are usually being backed up on a server, and all the nodes in the network will back up to the server. We're going to talk about a lot of the problems that face centrally architected hardware-based backup solutions and how online backup solves a lot of those. In both SMB and enterprise, you can look at backup as containing three key elements: hardware, software, and labor. Hardware and software are usually the hard costs that people recognize, but one of the biggest hidden costs associated with disk and tape-based backup are the labor costs associated with deployment, management, and recovery, all of which are extremely time-intensive with more traditional backup solutions. When we move to the online backup world, everything's delivered from the cloud in a simple software-as-a-service solution. So we still have those elements of software, hardware, services, and support, but we bundle it up into one solution that you can deliver under your brand. In terms of what's happening economically in the market, we're seeing a pretty rapid decline in tape sales. So the tape market in terms of gross sales has shrunk from nearly $3 billion a couple of years ago to just $1.5 billion this year, and we're seeing that trend continue to accelerate. What's replacing it? Well, more and more and more, it's being replaced by cloud backup. So a recent survey by CTO Edge magazine actually found that 70% of CTOs surveyed are planning on moving some or all of their backup to the cloud. So there's really a groundswell for online backup among both small businesses and enterprise. And that really leads to the central premise of today's presentation, which is based on a quote from one of our partners at the bottom of this slide, who said, if we don't sell our customers a cloud-based backup solution, someone else will, so why not us? So the challenge I want to give to everybody at today's webinar is, if you're not selling an online backup solution right now, why not? What's stopping you? Because if you don't sell to your customers an online backup solution, they're going to go and get it from somebody else. So what we're all about is getting you into that business and getting you into it quickly so that you can be selling your customers online backup next week. All right, so here's an example of the economics associated with tape backup in this case, but similar economics apply to disk-based backup, and comparing it with online backup. And there's two parts to this puzzle that I want to draw your attention to. The first is the perspective from your customer, and looking at the TCO that your customer faces, and then secondly, looking at the economics for you, the reseller. So this was a real-life customer example, one of our customers who came across to use online backup. Their tape-based solution, comprised of the physical hardware and then the software that they needed, was a capital purchase of $6,146 and had a 5-year cost, hard cost, of $9,130. This doesn't include any of the soft costs of labor, so no labor associated with the deployment, the management, the recovery, which can sometimes be as much as 100% of the hard cost. With online backup, by comparison, the total first-year cost was only $1,000 for the customer, so 16% of the hardware equivalent, and the 5-year cost was $5,000, which is only half. So from the customer's perspective, they've got a much better quality of backup, far more security, far more features, and we'll look at those in a second. But it cost them a significantly lower amount, both immediately up front but also ongoing. So then let's turn to look at the economic perspective of the reseller in this example. On hardware, 5 or 6 percentage points is pretty common in terms of margin that you can make on reselling hardware, whereas with online backup, it's a very profitable service. You can typically make 50 or 60% gross margin on products sold. So in this particular case, I made $500 on the tape backup sale, and also made $500 on the first year of the online backup sale, but then continued to make $500 every year for 5 years. So the revenue to the reseller here is $2,500 over a 5-year period compared to $500 selling tape. Ergo, it's a much better solution for the end customer at a much lower total cost, and a far better solution for the reseller with much higher margin with recurring revenue. And that's really what's exciting about reselling online backup. And if we look at the comparison on a technology basis, there's really online backup is the last frontier of backup because it solves so many of the problems associated with disk or tape that have really plagued disk and tape for, well, 2 decades now. So if we look at just going through the items on the left and comparing online backup to hardware-based backup, from a deployment standpoint, online backup is extremely simple. Central deployment, drop a software agent on the network, and you're done. With hardware-based backup, there's usually it can take up to a week to deploy a full hardware-based backup solution. Coverage has always been a major problem with hardware backup. So backing up laptops has nearly been